Okay, I did some word work this morning, and I wanted to share my notes with you. The question came to me, what's your gospel? This morning, minding my business, and I got that question. And that made me want to look up. I'm a poet. I love me some words. English was my favorite subject in high school. And so I always do word studies. So I looked up the word gospel. And gospel is the Greek word in the New Testament, of course. Euaggelion, something like that. Euaggelion, and it means a good message. So we think of the gospel in terms of this religious perspective, but the word gospel is simply a good message. So that made me think of lips of clay, right? Like that we have, and then also we have this treasure in earthen vessels. So one of the my favorite things I've ever done is I took a miniature pottery class. Why are my eyes watering up? But so I love dollhouse miniatures, 1/12 scale, please. And I took with the IGMA, International Miniature Guild. I forgot. But anyway, I took a class in Maine, a week-long class, and I learned how to make miniature pottery. I didn't know how much I would love it. But the whole idea of taking this little lump of clay and forming it, especially in miniature, forming it into these pots. I threw 72 pots in a week. I was kicking them out because I wanted to master the techniques. But what I loved was that making this pot was this partnership between me and the clay. And so when I read about God being a potter and us being the clay and lips of clay and all the things, it does something to me because I remember that experience. But I digress. And so I'm just going to go down my notes because it's so hard. It was coming to me so strong. I was just like, oh my God, this is so fabulous. This whole idea of coming up with your gospel. Now, I have been out for my walk. I've had my tea. I have had a shower. I am buffed and polished, as my husband would say. And that means I get hot. So once again, I'm hot flashing. So let me see if I can get an angle where you don't see my glasses fogging up. Oh well. Anyway, real life. But so lips of clay. I looked it up. So Proverbs 6:23. I love me some Message translation. It was written by a poet, and so I love the rhythm of it, and I love just the everyday frankness of it. So if you have a problem with other translations, I want to encourage you. Just think about it as a personal tool that you can use just for yourself. You don't have to teach doctrine to someone else, but I think it just speaks to me. So I'm in love with it. But so it says, smooth talk from an evil heart is like glaze on cracked pottery. And so that really meant a lot to me because when I threw those pots, we did Reiku firing, and it was beautiful to paint the glaze on those pots and watch what it became. Like you would paint it and it looked one way, and then you put it in that fire and it just became something amazing. But in this context, it's saying lips of clay is basically saying something. I think it goes on to even talk about evil. And I've been thinking about good and evil, life and death, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And so when I saw this, it's like I looked up the word evil. So evil means something that is harmful or undesirable. So I skipped past all of the spiritual meanings, the heaven or hell kinds of connotations, and I found at the very bottom that definition, something that is harmful or undesirable. So we can all relate to that because none of us want to call ourselves or think that we are evil, right? But so good, the definition that I have embraced. I don't even know where I've gotten it. It's just become a part of me at this point. But I looked up the word good at one point in my life and found that it meant beauty, pleasure, and sweetness. So if you look at the contrast, evil is something that is harmful or undesirable, and good is beauty, pleasure, and sweetness. So what's your gospel? What's your good message? Now, I want you to think about evil in this light. So it goes on. Well, let me go on to Proverbs 8. Proverbs 8:12, I think, through 21 in the Message. I'm not going to read all that, but if you go read it, it's going to be good. I love that it said, I am Lady Wisdom. Okay. I am Lady Wisdom, and I live next to Sanity. And then you skipped on down, and then it says, good counsel and common sense are my characteristics. So in the context of the vivid model, vision, identity, voice, information, and development, still on voice. You need to find your voice. Define your core message. So what I saw here is you need to identify your gospel. What is it? What good message that you have? Battery's low. What good message do you have to share with people? And what wisdom do you have to share? What good counsel and common sense do you have? What's in you to speak? Then John 1:1, this also came to me too. So I contrasted John 1:1 with Proverbs 8:12 because it starts with I am Lady Wisdom. And then John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word. And what I saw when you read through, I don't want to go too far into it, so you can look it up. But when you read through Proverbs 8:12 through 21, it starts talking about wisdom as being there since the foundation of the world. That it was there, wisdom was there forming the world, creating everything. Wisdom was was present at creation. So when I looked at, and that made me think about John 1:1. I'm getting too excited, so I'll slow down. But that made me think about John 1:1, where it says, in the beginning was the Word. And so the word there means, is translated in the Greek to logos. And logos means something said, including the thought. So in a modern context, in the context of your life, in the context of your message, logos is something that's said, including the thought. So what wisdom do you have to share? What good message is brewing on the inside of you that you need to get out? And so I want to come back to this notion, this idea of evil, something that is harmful or undesirable. So what struck me when I was reading, I promise you got to go through Proverbs 8:12, 12 through 21, and read on. You could even read before that because I went back before it, and it just talked about wisdom, and it just powerful. But when you contrast that with just this idea of what is your gospel, what good message do you have to share? When you look at, it says Proverbs 8:12 says, I'm wisdom and I live next to Sanity. Good counsel and common sense are my characteristics. And it goes on and it does talk about evil. So it struck me that evil for us, in the context of the message that we have to share, the good message that we have to share with people, when we are saying something, that smooth talk, lips of clay, that's what I meant. That's where I saw the evil part. But smooth talk from an evil heart is like glaze on cracked pottery. When we are really denying or neglecting the gospel, our own gospel, the message that we have to share, that is evil, because it becomes like we begin sharing, we begin talking and using our words in a way that's not consistent with who we are, who we were designed to be. And when we deny or neglect that message, that is evil for us. We are then first harming ourselves. something that is harmful and undesirable, then we start to produce fruit that is undesirable. It's undesirable for us. It's like we're even extending in some ways our own, it's like we're delaying our vision. Of course, God said that it's not going to be behind, excuse me, that's not going to be behind one bit, for any moment. But at the same time, he's also using everything together for our good. But I want to encourage you to think about, what is your gospel? What is Gwen's gospel? Oh, and this is also, this made me giggle. So I am Lady Wisdom. I was like, oh, I'm Gwen Fuchsius, aka Lady Wisdom. Hey, okay, no, I'm not like that deep. I'm not that bad, right? But it was beautiful to think, okay, my little Gwen Fuchsius moniker is, it was just kind of a fun nod to, Gwen, you're on track, right? You're going in the right direction. So that was fun. That was a fun discovery. But aside from that beautiful revelation for myself, I thought you would really enjoy just the whole thing. It's so good. So tell me in the comments if you got anything great out of it as well. You see anything that I didn't mention, but go check out Proverbs 8:12 through 21, John 1:1, and Proverbs 26:23. I'll put them in the post, and think about it. What's your gospel?